50% of your progress is going to come from 1% of your friends, 1% of your relationships, 1% of your business partnerships, 1% of your customers, 1% of your product line, 1% of the phone calls, 1% of the emails. It's all incredibly unequal, okay? And you might have to turn rocks, but you're looking to turn over the unequal rock. That is what you're doing. And if you're clear about that, then suddenly you're equipped to go forward. And I think the 80/20 sales and marketing book, it will really give you an extremely practical sense of how to sift and sort and identify, like, okay, I don't know for sure which one of these 100 things is it, but I can narrow it down to 10, or I can narrow it down to 5, and I can be dealing on a 1 out of 5 instead of a 1 out of 100. And it's the fundamental of how you do risk management. Okay, if we could all predict the future perfectly, then we wouldn't need to try all those other things. There wouldn't be trial and error, but we can't predict the future. The future is dictated by the rules of chaos, which is what gives rise to 80/20. It's those positive feedback loops. It's the butterfly effect, if some of you know what that is. But you can narrow it down. You can get good at predicting, okay, it's going to be one of these 10, it's going to be one of these 5, it's going to be one of these 3. And I'm telling you, that's a deep rabbit hole. And just one last thing.
Yes.
You have to be really careful. And there's a pendulum that swings back and forth very, very slowly, and you could call it a pendulum of curation. So if you go back 40 years, when I was growing up, we had 4 channels on the TV set. There was PBS, ABC, NBC, and CBS. That was it. 4 channels. Okay, well, and we got 1 newspaper, and there's like 20 radio stations or whatever, and that's it. That's where the information comes from. Okay? Now today, we've got like 9 billion information sources, gazillions of blogs and gazillions of websites and whatever, right? It's just crazy, how much. Well, listen, the pendulum is eventually going to swing back the other way. You're eventually going to see things emerge where the number of trusted news sources and everything narrows down a lot. And I think you're seeing the demise of traditional media, which that's a whole conversation, okay? But you need to be way ahead of that pendulum swing. If you're on email lists of 25 different marketers, you need to chop 80% of them. Actually, you need to chop 80% of anything that you're getting. Social media feeds, Twitter feeds, and you need to reduce it to only people who they tell you the truth. And if you're honest with yourself, you know that a lot of people you listen to, they don't really tell you the truth. And deep down, you know it, but you kind of listen to them anyway because they're entertaining. No, if they don't tell you the truth, they're out. You don't listen to them, okay? If they don't have wisdom, if they don't have discernment, if they don't care about their listeners. So by this criteria, you should not be listening to CNN. You should not be listening to CNBC. There's a whole, you probably shouldn't be listening to Fox. I mean, honestly, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you should like just shut them off, right? There's all kinds of marketers, all kinds of gurus, all kinds of bush, and you narrow down. You know, half truths is not good enough. And then you drill down, and when you find truth tellers, you hang on to them for dear life. You know, if you buy somebody's book or you go to somebody's seminar and it helps you and it moves you forward and it actually gets results, like, it's not, oh, this really ought to work, I'm sure this is going to work someday. No, like, if it really works, okay, then that's who you give your money to. That's who you give your attention to. Selectivity. You have to curate. And you find the truth tellers and you figure out who they say the truth tellers are.
Can you say?
And I think a lot of
you have some truth tellers other than yourself. Who are other truth tellers out there that you value?
I'll rattle off a list.
Okay.
Ken McCarthy, Megan Macedo, Glenn Livingston, Ari Galper, Richard Koch,
okay.
And I'm sure I'm not thinking of a whole bunch of them, but Jordan Peterson, and he's a truth teller. And like, just, you narrow your focus, and if you've never studied the Bible, your culture, your family, your environment has done you a huge disservice. There's no education like learning scriptures. This is why the Jewish civilization is so successful. It's because they debate Torah. They debate it, okay? Like, the whole idea of that is, see, I grew up in the super conservative fundamentalist strand of Christianity. They did a really good job of teaching the Bible, except they were a little bit off, okay? And the way in which they were off was, they thought their job was to teach you the interpretation. This is the right interpretation. No. That always gets you into a swamp eventually. You're supposed to learn to debate the interpretations and twist the Rubik's Cube.
Beautiful.
That's what Midrash is. That's what Talmud is. That's what real studying of Torah is. And that's the secret.